What's up guys, YST here and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And for the first time ever, we've got the man that builds them so you don't have to, Mad Kappa. How's it going, bro?
Awesome, good to be here, thank you. It's good times.
So, alright, a little flashback, alright? Like, we did mention it over on your channel. By the way, guys, it'll be in the description below. Make sure you drop a sub. We did a fun collab over there speaking Doom Tower. But back in the day, I remember messaging Mad Kappa. I had about 500 subs, begging him to join my Discord. And he was so nice, and he actually joined my Discord. And I was very happy that day, I must say. And ever since then, we've been meaning to get him on the channel. And 2.5-3 years later, he's arrived.
I was like, who's this scrub? I'm not going to piss off. No, I didn't say that. Obviously, I said amazing, YST. And obviously, I mean, look at you, look at the trajectory. So congratulations on your channel. It's absolutely been taken off since pretty much the beginning. And I enjoy your videos, and everyone else should too, or you're bad people.
Well, you actually just reached 8,000 subscribers, right? So congrats to you on that. Test server access. Did they manage to give it to you yet? Or?
Soon. No, I need to up my views. My weekly views, they're holding me to the 15K weekly views. So
okay.
If you're watching this and you want to help me out, just watch all my videos. Just put it on in the background, put on the I built them playlist or something, so we can up those views.
That's definitely a good way to up those views. Literally, go over there, put on that playlist. You'll be good to go. Nice long drive, just play it. But yeah, guys, okay.
Exactly.
Sidetrack. What we're basically going to be doing is, because he built them, so we don't have to, I thought it'd be really cool for him to speak about the top 5 champions that he feel kind of came out of that series and ones that really surprised him throughout it. Because I've definitely been watching it over the years and there's been a few that surprised me. But I want to see the ones that you value the most from those. So do you want to kick us off with like the first one on your list from these champions?
Absolutely. I do want to say, when I did this video before, keep in mind, the champions that I originally reviewed as the most surprising or best, none of them are there. They're just not. It's unfortunately the power creep happened, so it's nice to get an updated perspective on this. The other thing is I don't do a lot of we're not talking about the top end champions. Like, I'm not going to mention Geomancer. That's, if you don't know that Geomancer is top 3, you have some other videos to watch. So these are the surprising top picks. These are the ones that are like, whoa, what did that happen here? So, and are still viable as of today. So the number 5 one I want to talk about is Nogoryo from the Shadowkin.
We love Nogoryo. Let's go.
This guy's amazing. Why I like him the most is, now if you look at the faction wars, you have a free Chinoru that a lot of people got. You've got Fenchi's got some good damage. You got Shawnee's got good damage. But among epics, this guy's wave clear ability is just next tier over them. And I mean, you look at his abilities, he's got an A3 of 4-turn cooldown. It's an AoE and decreases the cooldown of the skill when attacking under an increased attack, which obviously you can make sure that you're doing, right? So bring in an increased attack, use him, and it's going to be a 3-turn cooldown after that. So very strong ability. His A1, which puts a block bust for 2 turns, also can pretty much hit and kill anyone, but he also can steal all buffs. So you think of anytime there's a block, unkillable, that sort of thing, because I believe these guys have that nasty wave 2 that can last forever. He can actually use this ability to finish off that 1 or 2 champions that have that unkillable from the man-eaters. Very strong. And then his A1, block active skills, another opportunity. You can block active skills, places an extra hit, so up to 3 hits if there's that, again, the increased attack. And it has that 20% chance of block active skills, an opportunity to lock out those nasty champions that give you some trouble. But the biggest thing about him, he hits very hard. A passive here who places that increased attack on the champ for 2 turns whenever an enemy's HP drops below 30% and can't be removed. So that's an extra added ability to be able to use this champion in faction wars, but honestly in any wave clearing situation.
Yeah, no, he was actually a fusion, right? I believe August last year as an epic, and a bunch of people skipped him, and I obviously went for him because he's Shadowkin. I love the mask, love the aesthetics, but even me, like in my personal time, he surprised me with his damage output as well. I was like, wow, because at the time I was using a Gembo the Dishonored, and I kind of switched over to this dude for a little while. So I think I completely agree that he has that surprising element of he hits harder than you may think, right?
Mhm.
But
Absolutely. And one thing I love about him is that, like, I mean, I was using Shawnee,
mhm.
and Shawnee can hit hard, but you have to get her accuracy so that she can convert it, and it's such a pain to build her out. This guy is just build him out like a nuker with 220 accuracy, and you're solid with him. So very strong champion.
I think we got the same sword as well. Look. Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
We got the same sword as Nogoryo. I tried to buy Genzin's one. I
Look
ended
out!
up with
Yeah,
Nogoryo's.
I was gonna say, look out, Genzin. You might have a competitor for favorite champion here.
Yeah. It was a hard one because Nogoryo's actually got the red mask like this. So, but we got the Genzin
Yeah,
mask getting made. But stay tuned, guys. We got that one coming.
nice, nice.
All right. So number 2 here. Which one we got next?
Number two, I'm going to go with a barbarian, and
Okay.
this shouldn't be a shock in how good she is, but a lot of people shy away, and that's Alika.
Okay.
So Alika also got a recent buff, which just makes her even more valuable. So her change to her skills that A3 now does a cooldown of 2 turns, because if you don't understand how skill cooldowns work in Raid Shadow Legends, they reduce the cooldown at the beginning of your turn. So when she locked people up for 1 turn and then they went to do their turn, it wouldn't matter. It would go from 1 to 0, and they would never be actually locked out.
Mhm.
Now she actually locks them out like Basher. Uh, the biggest thing I want to say about her, because a lot of people shy away, yes, she takes a ton of books. Was it 7, 13, and another 7, so 20 books.
Mhm.
Name 2 champions that can do all that she can do that are 10 books each. Just spend the books. You don't have to use books on her. She's going to be good without books. Yeah, you want those cooldowns eventually. But the reality is, without books, she's good. With books, she's amazing. And I will say it hurts, but rip that band-aid off. Give her the books. She's absolutely worth it. She has an A3, locks people out, decent damage. She's got a passive with Sakara. I wouldn't really worry about that. But her A2 attacks one enemy, ignores 50% of the target's defense if their max HP is higher than this champion's, which most will be. She's only got 15 base HP. You're building her out as a nuker. You can build her out with speed and survivability, or build her out a nuker, or do both.
Mhm.
And this thing will delete. It's one of the hardest hitting epic skills in the game for a single target. That 50% target's defense, you get an extra 25 if she's in Savage. You put on Helm Smasher, she's just going to delete people. And on top of that, situationally, her A1 is the hardest hitting epic in the game.
Okay.
Situationally. If she gets this 50% when book chance to hit that second hit, it is the hardest hitting in the game. If she doesn't, it's not. I mean, there's other ones like Phoenix and a couple others that do harder hitting A1s. But if she gets that second hit, it is the total damage hardest hitting epic that I'm aware of. I'm sure Saf can probably dispute that and has someone out there. But as far as I recall, the best hardest hitting in the game.
Yeah, no, she's really, really good. And that change was definitely needed. But as you pointed out, the book situation is crazy. But if you guys can look past that and you're really wanting a nuker, this is somebody to definitely consider, right? Like, for me, like when I was using Alika for fun, I was just using a A3 as a accuracy skill in the faction wars and stuff. And I was enjoying it. I was like, oh, looking at skills, having fun here. But away from that, even arena, like you said, like absolute glass cannon. Her base speed, relatively high here, 101. So if you want to use it for that lockout, really good option with some speed as well.
Next, we're going to go to the Dark Elves, and we're going to go to a champion who's been around since day one in Psylar. Now, Psylar was very meta for a while, but she fell absolutely out of the meta. She's actually a precursor. I built her for a champion showcase prior to the actual I Built Them series.
Mhm.
I should go back and redo her, because let me tell you, this is a champion who should be back into the game. First of all, faction crypts by 22%, nice bonus for the aura. And she's known for this decreased speed. So she has places a 30% decreased speed on enemies, but also decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 40%. That in early 3v3 in arena was devastating, right? It was an absolute killer. 40%, even without the decreased speed. 4-turn cooldown, 40% decreased speed. I used her with my Arbiter right up until I got my Lysandra.
Mhm.
And then I replaced her with Lysandra because she does the turn meter boost and reduction. The turn meter reduction sort of for a while dropped out of favorability because of resistance. There was a high resist meta, And
Yeah.
I think Psylar never recovered. But I will argue that she is, if not as good, she is better now than she was because she can be used in Hydra. Why Hydra, you ask? Well, first of all, AoE decreased speed. It places it. She's void affinity, so there's no chance. There's a base resist is all. But her A2 has a 100% when booked chance of placing a decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. So
Mhm.
you've got AoE A3 that puts a decreased speed, AoE A2 that puts a decreased accuracy, and an AoE A1, which means any set that places anything based on AoE. So think of the curse set that they just changed to be a hex.
Yep.
Think of stuns in arena, stuns in live arena. Think of any place where you can use any of those sets. Provoke, you put her in a provoke
I
set
was
to
just about
deal
to
with the
say
head of decay.
that's a really
right?
good champion for Head of Decay. Yeah.
3 AoEs and a 105 speed, 18k HP, so survivable. Doesn't do crazy damage. Just an overall great champion. And for those of you who are in the new early to mid game, very, very strong spider champion because of the turn meter control. So she can absolutely, if she's fast enough, the spiderlings never get a turn, right? Like she just absolutely that decreased speed plus the 40% turn meter decrease is a big deal. So I think she's one that fell out of the meta, and I think that if you aren't using her, you probably want to take another look at her for the Hydra boss.
Yeah, no, that Hydra boss definitely makes a comeback into fruition for me. Like, that's very underrated, I'd say. I can't remember the last time someone spoke about a Psylar for the Hydra. But in hindsight, she's got one of the best epic skills for that. Like, decreased accuracy, 100% chance on a 3-turn cooldown on a Void Affinity champion is really, really strong. Like, for me, I would call out Nari the Lucky as one of my favorite decreased accuracy options. But he's Force, right? We're getting, like, if we're facing Spirit, we can get weak hits. This is going to alleviate so much of the resistance that's required on your champions to get into Brutal or the Nightmare. Really, really strong on a 3-turn. And as you said, bringing in those sets such as the Cursed with the buff and the Provoke, really good. I wonder if she's got...
And I think decreased... A lot of people have a decreased speed are very underrated.
Mm-hmm.
People think, oh, I don't need the decreased speed. But when you put a decreased speed on that Head of Decay, it just makes so much. You can get your turns around on your Provoke champion quicker, right? Like if you're using a 2 or a 3 turn cooldown on some kind of Provoke champion, I just think her kit is so underrated for the Hydra.
Yeah, I actually might build mine in a hex set. I think she'll be my one that I build for that. But yeah, let's bring her back. Awesome. Bring back the Silas. Okay, who was number...
Psylar 2023.
Number 3 or number 4 now?
We're on number 4. Now, number 4, I'm going to save the most kind of surprising to me for last. But this is my favorite champion, epic champion in the game. This is my Genzin. This is my champion. And that's from the Knights Revenant. And it is none other than Whisper.
Oh, you and Saf need to go on a date together with Whisper. Fight over her.
Whisper has check my channel. I've done 3 or 4 videos on her. I've done her in the Clan Boss where she did like 60 million damage. I put her in brutal level, and you could do nightmare level, but her stats make it a little bit like it's end game gear to get her to survive. But here's the kit on her. You've got, first of all, you got a passive that just has a 10% chance of granting an extra turn. Boom, right there. But the real important thing is increases damage inflicted on bosses by 20%. So right away she's hitting. For example, in some of the dungeons 21 through 25, she was hitting harder than an enemy max HP champion because she's not capped on her damage, and she gets that 20% extra. So her multipliers are amazing. She's 1450 attack, which is great for an epic. She's got an aura for 29% in dungeons. Against the dragon, she just does obscene amounts of damage. Now, I haven't tried her out in hard level stuff because the survivability is so ridiculous. And I have a 34-second team in Dragon, so I'm not going to mess with it. But yeah, so Whisper, that 21 through 25 progression. But the real key to her is the rest of her kit. So she's got an A2 that puts an increased attack and an increased crit rate on herself on a 3-turn cooldown.
Yeah.
This means you can build her for 70% crit rate. Beautiful. Plus the attack, obviously increasing her own damage. Then she puts a weaken on her A1. We'll go to the A3 last because that's kind of the order you want to do it in.
Yeah.
So she has a 50% book to 75% chance for a weaken. So you're bringing in Ugo, You're bringing in Stagnite, anyone who doesn't have defense down, and Weaken. She's putting the Weaken there. And why is that important? Her A3 attacks one enemy 2 times, grants an extra turn if the target has decreased defense and Weaken debuffs.
Mhm.
So not only she gives a 10% chance of granting an extra turn, so long as you have decreased defense and Weaken on the target, she's getting an extra turn. And her A2 is just propelling her with extra buffs. Now, Hydra Boss, it's crazy, it's stupid, it's fun, it's almost to the level of what someone like Trunda can do, though obviously not quite the same scale because of the AoE. But she hits so hard, she hits over 500,000 on deadheads. She's
Oh.
void affinity, so you don't care what the head is, you just go for the weakest head. There's some that have way less defense than others. I've had her do 30 million, 20 million in brutal keys. Only thing you have to keep in mind is that while she puts extra buffs on herself, so you're thinking, oh, she could be the head of mischief, because of the extra turns that may come back to haunt you. But I still do it. I give her high resist, and if she does steamroll some extra turns and I lose that ability, it's fine because I'm using Ugo, who'll probably block the steal anyway.
Yeah.
But great champion otherwise to be able to do that with. Her damage is she's the best non-enemy max HP damage dealer, single target damage dealer in the game. And I mean Turvold has a skill that can do that, but just overall among epics, I should say, like Turvold's kind of the comparable. He does more damage than her overall, but for what she can do, amazing. And you could probably use her in arena because she can just delete targets. You can use her anywhere. Amazing champion all around.
Yeah, she's really good. Like, even I was considering her for the Dark Fae after Saf showed me how she obliterates with the extra turns. She's going boom, boom, and then before you know it, the boss is down. And as you said, it's comparable to the max HP because of the way that it's capped, right? And the amplified of damage is really, really good. But one of the highlights for me would be the increased crit rate. Like, think about Cold Heart, right? It's the reason why everybody loves her for the Heart Seeker, because you'd have to build 100%. You're good to go at 70%. So, yeah. Do you know what? I'm gonna admit something to you, okay? I've not built out Whisper yet. So, I don't know why. I know how value, but I deserve to.
You break my heart.
Sorry, man. Do you know what? Do I actually have a wait? I might have. I'm gonna have to retract that statement. do I have a Whisper maxed up? She's void, right? Whisper to me, please. Be built on my account. I don't think she's there. Oh, she's there. I got one. But she's got no gear.
All right, well,
we did it for CBC.
Now you can build her. Make me feel better. Make me proud.
I'll do it for you.
Her out.
Don't worry.
Awesome.
All right, leading into number 5. Which one we got here?
Number 5. This isn't the best champion we're going to talk about, but what this is the most surprising champion we're talking about. I did this champion as part of an all epic brutal Hydra key.
Okay.
And we destroyed the key. And it is from the Orcs, and it is Merouka. Now, Merouka is one of the least flashy champions in the game. It looks whatever. But let's talk about the kit and why it's so important in a team like a Hydra team.
Yeah.
First of all, she has each time this champion's hit, increases their defense by 2.5, stacks 20%. So she's already got huge survivability in the clan boss, getting hit all the time, right? Let's go to her A2, which is a 3-turn cooldown, removes all buffs from a target ally, heals them by 50% of their max HP. There's always going to be a champion who's going to be picked on over the others in Hydra, because there's certain ones that attack those who have the lowest max HP. This is an easy way on a 3-turn cooldown to make them survivable. Has a admittedly small chance for the decreased speed, but again, we talked about decreased speed being available in the clan boss, and it is in the Hydra, and it is a 30% chance when booked, so you're just going to get that extra opportunity. She does okay damage, but the real thing is, and it sounds silly, but this is what it's all about, is this revive on death buff for all allies on a 4-turn cooldown is what, when I built an all epic team, it's so hard to get consistent revives. And when I used her with Tagore, Tagore would heal, he'd have the revives, but I wanted to use that A3 outside of reviving because it's a good ability. So she was just there for that extra survivability by putting that revive on death and making sure that everyone survived. And she would survive. She had the heals. It's not flashy, it's not sexy, but the reality is I had Kunoichi, So Kunoichi would sacrifice health all the time because you have the ally protect. She'd always be lowest health.
Mm-hmm.
She would get healed by 50% of their max HP, and Kunoichi has like high HP, 80k plus.
Yeah.
And it just the synergy among them all worked really well. And because of the revive on death, it took out some of that random oh crap, like 2 turns by the head of wrath because I accidentally hit him one too many times
Yeah.
and people died. And I know it's not the flashiest one, but what surprised me is how well it synergized in an all epic team. And of course, the other ones were OP. I had a Kemptum and Thalesia, so it was a good overall strong 6-man team.
Yeah.
Had plenty of damage, but just being able to target that heal on the champion that you knew was going to get the damage, and remove all debuffs from that champion, just made this all the difference. And it was actually very surprising how well she did in the team.
Would you say she's kind of like the non-void version of White Dryad Nia with the way that she cleanses, and but obviously White Dryad Nia does the resetting of the cooldowns as well in the same skill, right?
I would have put White Knight Dryad Nia in this video if not for the fact that I don't think that she's underrated.
Yeah, she's not underrated.
I don't think it's surprising.
Saying, like, in terms of the way that she uses it, it's very similar skill, right?
Yeah.
Like removes all debuffs, heals them, but being a void champion, she does a cooldown effect. But I'm actually very surprised you mentioned Merouka. Like, she was one that I feel like lots of people skipped on. I forgot which fusion it was a part of, but she was definitely a part of it. And it was one that everybody was underwhelmed with. But to see that there is a value out there, as you mentioned, for the Hydra, even just having a revive on death, like there's not a huge amount of champions from the epic rarity that I can recall that has a AoE revive on death. Like, just overall, and
I will say, like, keep in mind that I'm not saying go out and build her if you're free to play, but I'm saying if you have a missing piece, you're really trying to progress through certain areas like the Orcs Faction Wars or Hydra, this is a champion that will do work for you. She's not nothing. Is she going to revolutionize your account like a Geo? Hell no. She's not that good. But I'm just surprised on how, that's the job of this series, is to find those champions that aren't that good and find a use for them, and absolutely was surprised at how well she worked in that team.
Yeah, really, really cool. I might think about it if I pull one. Like, even the other one you mentioned, to go, I don't have him, so they're like the two that I'm just like, please give it to me so we can fill up the Pokedex. But yeah. You said that we got a special one, right? To finish up, we got. I'll leave it to you.
So, a little while ago, when they finally did some epic rebalancing.
Yeah.
They rebalanced a pair of champions that have been a couple forever, and I did a video on it, and I tested. And what I found is that these two are probably the best epic pairing as far as shared abilities or couple abilities.
Ooh.
And that's Romero and Juliana, Romeo and Juliet. And let me tell you, Juliana, she was amazing in the early days, 3+ years ago. You won if you had her, but she got outpaced so bad so quickly. And they did some really cool changes with her that together with Romero, absolutely strong. First off, she now has a 4-turn cooldown on 100% chance when booked HP burn, and removes all buffs from the target on her A3. Her A2 places increased crit rate on herself, and this one was the one that was wrong because it had an increased crit rate, but the cooldown was too big. So she put an increased crit rate on herself, but it would fall off.
Yeah.
So it was no good. Well, now they've readjusted her cooldown, so now it's 100% uptime. And here's the key: it ignores 50% of the target's defense when Romero's on the same team. When you have this ability hitting 2 times, it is almost comparable to Alika's A2 damage when Romero's on the same team. So again, you have a champion that can single target delete an enemy. It's not quite the same damage as her, but it's so very close. And then of course you get all the other things: Helm Smasher, Savage. This A2 hits so hard. And then her A1, Phil's turn meter, hits 2 times, a very good overall hit. But that A2 is what makes the difference. But what really makes the team work is because she's very flimsy. If you go over to Romero has a bevy. It has a partner skill, an A4, that attacks all enemies 3 times when Juliana's on the same team.
I can't find him. Where's Romero?
He's right beside your head. What? A little bit to the third one in from.
Oh, there he is. Oh, yeah. Sorry, buddy.
It's Jaime Lannister. So his A4 attacks all enemies 3 times. it's not a very strong hit, but the fact that this guy's defense based and you can make him just sick defense wise, he's got 18k HP. This 3 times is really great for putting into sets, right? Because 3-turn cooldown, you put him in a stun set, you put him in a taunt set, any of those sort of things. That I prefer taunt because it's a better percent chance to land, and he's going to have enough HP and defense that he's going to survive the incoming attacks.
Hmm.
Then he's got an A3 that has a shield buff equal to 25% of their max. Unfortunately, it's their max HP, but he also puts an increased defense buff on himself for 2 turns. So on a 4-turn cooldown when booked. But the big thing is this shield gets an extra 50% when booked. That makes that shield actually pretty good.
Never,
and
is this the only
a lot of people forget that.
What the? I've never seen a champion with that values. Why? What?
This was when they changed this ability. I think the shield was like 510, 510 or something, but they did this, and it's 25% extra shield, 50% extra shield. I always complain about heals and shield being based off of the result, which makes it kind of underwhelming. But in this particular case, if you have him with HP champions and you're already making a 25,000 shield, well, it's another 12.5 on that chat. Like it can be pretty obscene.
That is
then
his shield.
Yeah. Then his A2 is a 3-turn cooldown on a continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns and steals 1 buff from each enemy. And the big deal here is, I mean, that's just 3-turn cooldown on AoE continuous heals. Surprise, surprise, another good duo that you can use in the Hydra. If you heard it, they don't scale very well, but definitely easy and hard and maybe even brutal. The tandem can go because you always have that heal ability. You're always getting it, and you're putting it uniformly, which a lot of epics don't do. That is the biggest fear of epics in Hydra, is they do random chance or lowest enemy, so you can't control where the buff goes, and therefore you can't control who the head of mischief's going to target. But this is on all enemies, all allies, so you don't have to worry about the fact that the head of mischief will then target one enemy over the or one ally over the other.
Yeah.
But then also puts continuous heal. This is the caveat, is this doesn't do it very well. But it's only 1 turn. So I know I just said, but the good thing about him is that he doesn't, he puts something, but the thing is, it's only 1 turn. So if you have it tuned right, then you can make sure that 1 turn falls off before the head of mischief goes. So you just have to be aware of this A1. But typically, you know who the champion is going to take the most damage. And that's the way to do that around the Hydra. But for dungeons, this tandem works very well, very strong, because Juliana's damage is way better than it used to be, and Romero's way better at keeping her alive than he used to be. And so as a group, that's my most surprising duo in the game.
That's really cool. Like, Juliana was actually my favorite epic back in the day. Like, do you remember when everyone was chasing sacred shards to get a Juliana, and she was we couldn't even see the damage on the clan boss back then, guys. There was no number. It was just Juliana, do as much damage with the burn as you can on that 4-5 turn cooldown, and it was not speed tuned or anything. The good old days. I enjoyed that. But
Juliana, you can actually use her in the boss now, thanks to the Deadwood's calculator. You can take care of that turn meter. It's a little bit tough because each one is 10%, but you can use her. But that's not her biggest ability. Her biggest ability is just in waves. She has the ability to delete anyone in your opponents. One of great epic tandems. That surprising epic tandems. I won't say they're. I mean, you're probably just, again, better off using Seer and someone with buffs, but outside of that, she's very strong.
All right, so plot twist before we disappear and let you go. I'm going to tell you one that surprised me the most. The one that I built so players didn't have to. I'm not sure if you covered it as well. You might have done. You've covered all champions. It was Skraank. It's probably the one that surprised me. Have you covered him in the series?
Surprise. You know what? I do have a Skraank, but I don't think I've did a video on him.
Okay.
I might have went ahead anyway, but I watched all the content you've done with Skraank. So
Skraank is all of his multipliers are godlike. He's got burns, he's got a self-increase attack, and he's probably like made up their top 3 epic champions in the game for me. Like, he's so good, man. Like, have you put up his multipliers there? If you got it, he's crazy.
No, I was just taking a look. I was double checking that I had his. Yes, I do have a video of Skraank.
Oh, you do have one.
I think I gave him an okay rating. I might have to revisit him.
Oh no, this guy is He blew me away. Like, if it wasn't for the Hydra Clash, I still would have thought he was okay. Saf kept telling me, oh, Skraank. I was like, oh, we'll see. And I put him in, I was like, there's no way, man. This guy is outperforming legendaries. He's like, he was even doing more damage than Missionarchy in some teams. It was nuts.
That is nuts.
Yeah. But, yo.
When he heals himself, he puts an HP burn AoE 100% on 3-turn cooldown. He increases his own attack and crit damage, but not with a buff, which is nice, and places a weaken. Not bad.
All of his multipliers are nuts as well. That's what makes him even better.
And his multipliers are nuts.
Yeah. But Madcapper, awesome. I appreciate you coming on to break down the champions you built so we didn't have to. Maybe some viewers might want to build them now, thanks to those breakdowns. Is there anything here you want to say before we sign off and all that good stuff?
No, hey, you know what? Long time coming. I'm glad I could get off my lazy butt to start doing these collabs. I also want to say, in case people don't watch the other video, you were the first one I reached out to when I was like, I need to do some collabs. I need to stop ignoring my friends, stop being lazy. You were the first one. I need you viewers not to tell Deadwood because he was actually the first video we did in this latest group. But I told him that he was, but it was right here.
But yeah, guys, on that note, I'll leave Madcapper's channel in the description alongside his I Built Them So You Don't Have To series for the playlist. It will all be below. And if you guys did enjoy today's video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll catch you guys on a video soon. Peace.